And on that note, this is a good time to bring in our regular guest and columnist for her take on what happened over the weekend and for what is going to happen, which is probably more important in the next couple of weeks. Former ACT MP, Hilary Calvert. Hilary, welcome to the show this afternoon. What were you doing on election night? Where were you to be watching the results?
Yes, and good afternoon. Yes, I was in Oamaru.
Oh, were you?
Because we have each year a family AGM, just for the hell of it. And it happens to be my husband's birthday as well. And we had a really good night because it all went our way, really. I thought, because the election went the way I would have preferred, and the Voice in Australia went the way I would have preferred, and then it was the All Blacks. So what with one thing and another Alistair was sung happy birthday to in a proper fashion.
Oh, there you go. Yes, that would have been. And I'll tell you what, I felt a bit funny on Sunday morning, I've got to be honest, because I'm used to feeling slightly aggrieved over the last 6 years, and I don't anymore. And I was going, what is this feeling? I'm not upset. What can I get angry about? Well, not much at the moment. It's not often the right have been able to say that for the last 6 years, is it?
Oh, I've got a suggestion about what we could do with this treaty issue.
Go for your life.
What's happened is that the treaty was some time ago now, and recently it's been allowed to be interpreted only by Maori who signed it. And I was going to say one side, but of course there isn't just one side, there's two sides. There's a whole lot of iwi, and there's the Queen, as it was. So it has been able to be defined, and you'll have noticed that through the regional council, that you're not allowed to say what it means, only Maori can say what it means. So I think if Luxon just got up in the morning and said, okay, Maori have been deciding what it means for the last 6 years, we're now going to decide what it means, and I've decided it means that we are to give everybody equal opportunity, whoever they are in New Zealand. So we're going to run our government as if that's what it means. You know, you guys have had a chance to choose somebody else deciding what it means. So rather than having a referendum, which can be quite divisive, we don't need to know what it means because we've just run it as if somebody was allowed to decide. Why don't we just let the other side decide for a while?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that's going to answer that particular issue. It's going to just add to more uncertainty, isn't it, at the end of the day, Hilary? Wouldn't we like to just clarify it once and for all? But you see, even if we do clarify it once and for all, it's still going to end up in the bloody courts, isn't it? I mean, isn't it one of the bad things about Parliament in general is that it's so imprecise in its legislation that unfortunately it's always open to interpretation, and then the lawyers in the courts cast their particular brand of malevolence upon it, and it ends up not being what you thought it was.
And that's why if you put anything different on paper, you've got that problem. But you didn't put anything different on paper to get to the favouring one colour of your skin more than the others, or the tangata whenua more than other people, to get to where we are today. Nothing changed, the things on paper. So I think we can just not change it again by saying everybody needs to do what the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi are, and this is what it is. Everyone's the same.
Yes, well, that would be nice. But then I'd like to see the treaty put in the dustbin of history and just say that was a fascinating historical document. Now let's move on.
That's another answer. But
yes.
Reinterpreting it, you don't need to do officially, just like you don't. People have started calling it, even government departments have started calling it Aotearoa in New Zealand when we don't have an official name change.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. They've just chosen to pretend we're called Aotearoa.
Yeah. Well, that's the managerial corporate class again I was talking about.
Let's just pretend that we've interpreted it differently. Anyway, it's a thought.
Christopher Luxon this morning has made a bit of a budge. He's still staying silent on the coalition arrangements. He's saying, I'm not going to conduct these in public, which is fair enough, and I think most people respect him for that, except for the Wellington-based media. But he has said a little budge. He said, the only two people we've got locked in, he said this morning, is Prime Minister Chris Luxon and Finance Minister Nicola Willis.
Yes.
I thought, now, there's nothing particularly dramatic about that in terms of, oh my God, but it is quite clear he's sending a message that we are in charge, yeah?
Yes, and yes, he's wanting to give them something because he's not wanting to talk about it for the rest of it, and just saying those are the clear ones. He had to say something, that's what he said, and of course they're in charge, but they need to talk to Winston and have him in a tent, because even if you can't just have one. He most importantly said, I'm going to run a stable centre-right government, or whatever he said. That requires something for stability. You need more than even if the one vote majority stayed.
Yes, and just on the Port Waikato issue, I just want to answer Malcolm in particular, but people out there saying, well, how can there be an overhang? Surely if a national MP gets elected in Port Waikato, it's just one off the list. No, it isn't.
Yeah, no, it isn't. It's just a dumb-ass rule.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's just how it is, turns out. And we never knew it before it's a hangover from back in the first past the post days.
Yes. So when the election result gets declared, that's the composition of the House, presumably on the 3rd of November. That's the percentage, that's what you're entitled to, and anything that happens after that date, just that's what happens. And there isn't an MP for Port Waikato, so automatically that ends up as one extra seat. Yeah,
an overhang, but not created in the usual way.
Can I just also, just quickly, because you won't be up with this, so I just wanted to let you know, but also others. Also, Christopher Luxon's had a go at the media this morning. Now, that's interesting. Drawing on comments made yesterday of Luxon being unimpressed with coalition arrangements in the past, often going through the media, reporters this morning challenged him on whether he knew the job of journalism. Listen to this, the Fourth Estate, and whether he'd asked potential coalition partners to avoid chatting to the media too. And he said, quote, I fully respect your role in the media, but what I'm just saying to you is that we had a mandate on Saturday night. We're going to work our way through our arrangements of progressing our relationships and also the arrangements for future governments with those respective parties. I'm not doing negotiation through the media. So he pushed back at them. Interesting that the Fourth Estate got miffy with him this morning, or the media, mainstream media, for even suggesting that he's going to do that.
Well, they are, as you've said numerous times in the past, are left-leaning. And if you look at that journalism, I think I might have sent you through that journalism survey from last year, just to see where it came from. Some of the people were making comments about.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. And if you put a line through the middle of the bell curve of journalists or something, it would be seriously to the left. And if you put a line through the 80, you'd get to 75% or something before you get to anybody journalists who would think they were even centre-right, let alone right, I think. I mean, they're essentially left, but they do it in all sorts of ways. And, for example, media came out and said last week there was people who were renting out, had their house and they rented out to themselves through parliamentary services, whatever.
Yeah.
And they were making money off doing that. And they said in the article that there was various people doing it. It was 4 ministers and various people from the Nats and things, but the photos with it were of Luxon.
Yeah.
So what they were saying is, here's a picture of Luxon, these people are rorting the system.
Yeah.
And underneath it said 4 ministers and other people.
Yeah.
But that's the bias. And I don't know even if it's unconscious bias, but one of the good things about having a wee gap between the election and the results is that it might give the media a chance to readjust themselves.
Oh, good luck on that.
Well, I just thought because...
You are Pollyanna, really, aren't you? The ideas that the New Zealand media would possibly think, we should actually look at our perspective and see if it's the correct one. You're right, though. Don't get me wrong. You are right that they need to. But the thought that they've got that sort of self-analysis, I think that's heroic.
Yeah. But they're currently feeling quite hurt and upset, aren't they?
They are,
really?
Yes. I can see all the poor diddums on TV1 on both Saturday night and Sunday morning. You can see that.
I enjoyed Paddy Gower for all that.